Bhagavate. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Want to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna, Balaram, Bal Gopal, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadramani, Shishi Gonitai, Tulsimani, Haridas Thakur, Guru Parampara, Shri Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So, we are on Canto 3, Chapter 28. So, this is Kapil Dev's instructions on the execution of devotional service. So here he's going to talk about the aspects of Astanga Yoga. Now, Astanga Yoga is basically the art of controlling the breath, but control it with the view of meditation on the supersoul, the Atma within, the Lord Paramatma within us, within our body. So there's two souls. We are there and Paramatma is there. Anyway, Kapil Dev described the plenary practices of yoga which help one control the mind. Yama, that's moral discipline, non-violence, truthfulness, refrain from theft, possessing only what is necessary, celibacy, study of the Vedas, silence. So this is what yama consists of. Then it's got niyama. Execute prescribed duties to the best of ability, avoid performing duties not allotted, satisfied with what is achieved by the Lord's grace, worshipping the lotus feet of a spiritual master, cessation of conventional religious practices, attracted to those who lead to salvation, eating frugally, not eating too much or too little, remaining in a secluded place, austerity, cleanliness, worshipping the Supreme Lord. So this is observing different practices. Then there's asana, attaining steadiness by mastering correct asanas. Pranayam, this is the breathing, controlling the breathing of vital air. Pratyahara, sense withdrawal, the withdrawing senses from material objects. Concentrate mind in the heart. Dharana, concentration, fixing the prana at one spot amongst the various chakras by mind. Dhyana, absorption or meditation, meditating on the limbs of the Lord and Vaikuntha Leelas. Samadhi, the state of the mind being virtually absorbed in the Lord. So these are 8 different each one is higher than the other. And the final one is samadhi, where you're connected with the Lord. Pranayam to samadhi. So this is pranayam to samadhi. Kapil goes into more detail about the yoga process of sitting postures and breath control. By such practice, one destroys the doshas in the body, pranayam, becomes free from material association with sense objects. So we don't get too attached to any sense objects, destroys sins, dharana, become free from the modes, can ultimately see the Supreme Lord, samadhi. So these are from pranayam to samadhi. Basically, you become sinless and detached from sense enjoyment, detached from the modes, and you can, in that condition, you can actually take samadhi, see the Lord. The Lord's forms for performing dhyana. So this is the recommendations according to Kapil Dev. Within himself, the perfect yogi sees all attractive eternal form of the Lord. So what does he look like? Cheerful, lotus-like countenance, loins covered by a shining cloth, yellowish like lotus filaments, healthy red eyes like the interior of a lotus. So this is the lotus, healthy red eyes. Dark complexion body like a petal of a blue lotus. So this is a little idea of the Lord's color, this color of his body. Extraordinarily beautiful. And bears a conch, disc, mace, lotus in hand. Shrivatsa mark, curl of white hair on his breast, Kastuba gem suspended from his neck, priceless pearl necklace, bracelets, crown, armlets, anklets, loins, and hips is encircled by a girdle, stand on a lotus of the devotee's heart. So this is inside of us, right? He's standing on the lotus of the devotee's heart. Most charming to look at, the sincere aspects, gladdens the eyes, mind, and hearts of the devotees. Eternally very beautiful. Worshipped by all inhabitants of every planet, situated in youth and boyhood. So he's ever fresh, ever young, eager to bestow blessings upon the devotee. And it's worth singing his glories. His glories enhance the glory of his devotees. The garland of forest flowers humming with intoxicated bees. One should meditate upon all the limbs until the mind becomes fixed. So, this is a meditation. The perfect yogi sees the all-attractive eternal form of the Lord within himself. The yogi should meditate on each of the Lord's limbs, from his lotus feet, which are marked with a thunderbolt, gold banner and lotus, splendor of beautiful ruby nails resembling orbit of moon. Lord Shiva became blessed by bearing Ganga water that washed Lord's feet on his head. Dispels the gloom of one's heart. So this lotus feet is very powerful. It acts like a thunderbolt on the mountain of sins in the mind. So that's why we look at the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the benefits of looking at the lotus feet of the Lord. Dispels the gloom of one's heart, acts like thunderbolts on our sins. And then below the knees, the calves. Fix in heart the activities of Lakshmi, who is always found massaging the Lord's legs and thighs. Then the thighs, whitish blue, like the luster of linseed flour, appear most graceful when the Lord is on Garud's shoulder. Storehouse of all energy. Then the hips, rounded, encircled by a girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that go down to his ankles. Navel, moon-like in the center of his abdomen. Foundation of the whole universe. Because that's from whom, yes, this lotus stem comes, containing the planetary systems, and on top of which Lord Brahma is situated. Nipples resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds. Appear whitish because of the ray of the milk. White pearl necklaces adorn his chest. The chest is the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi, the source of pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The neck enhances the beauty of Kastuba gem on his chest. Arms, source of all power of demigods, controllers of natural functions, nature's functions. Sudarshan Chakra, 1,000 spokes, dazzling luster. So his arms look like, conch looks like a swan in a lotus-like palm. Club, very dear to him, smashes the inimical demons and is smeared with their blood. So then we talks about the mala, the garland he wears, because this is the darshan. We go up from the legs, calves, thighs, waist, etc. We're looking at the garland, always surrounded by bumblebee with a nice buzzing sound. And then we look at the pearl necklace, represents the pure living entities who are always engaged in the service of the Lord. Lotus face, lotus-like countenance. Lord comes in different forms in this world out of compassion for anxious devotees. The nose is prominent. Crystal clear cheeks are illuminated by oscillation of his glittering alligator-shaped earrings. Adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus-like eyes, dancing eyebrows. The eyes soothe the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees. His glance, accompanied by loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. Eyebrows, manifested by his internal potency in order to charm Cupid for good of the sages. Laughter, so captivating it can easily be meditated upon. Small teeth resemble jasmine buds rendered rosy by the splendor of his lips. Once devoting his mind to this, the yogi no longer desires to see anything else. When the yogi has thus developed pure love for the Lord, his body exhibits ecstatic symptoms such as hair standing and crying. He becomes detached from bodily identification because the Lord takes full charge of his body, and he experiences the activities of the body like a dream. Just as a person is different from his son and wealth, though he identifies with them, the soul is different from his body. Liberated souls can understand this. Just as fire is different from wood, sparks and smoke, etc., the Lord is also different from the soul, combined with the senses, 5 elements, and consciousness. So we shouldn't think that we are the super soul. Not a good consciousness. The perfect yogi sees how all living entities are the same on the spiritual platform, only seeming to be different according to different bodies they inhabit. So this Sankhya Yoga is derived. Sankhya means to count. It is to understand it. We have a little summary. It's a philosophical system of analyzing matter established by Kapil Dev. It is analytical study of the nature of spirit and matter and the subject matter for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by experimental knowledge and philosophy. So it's basically analyzing the material elements and understanding what they are, what is their function, so that we eliminate them from what is permanent, because material nature is impermanent, it's temporary. It aims to overcome suffering through cultivating discrimination and by releasing the soul, Jiva Purush, from its entanglement in matter. So the idea of Sankhya is to help us understand what is matter and how it is not important, basically. So we get that discrimination. We understand matter is not that important, because even though we are so attached to it, so that we can release us from this material world. It delineating 24 elements with the soul, Chitta, as the 25th. Chitta is the eternal soul. The 26th element is Paramatma or God. Patanjali Yoga, also called Raj or Astanga Yoga, is intimately linked with Sankhya. So the yoga followed by Patanjali is quite similar. The practice of yoga is based on Patanjali Sutras, consisting of Samadhi, which means trance, Sadhana, the practice, Vibhuti, mystical powers, Kaivalya, ultimate aim. The process itself is divided into 8 limbs or angas. Although popular Hatha Yoga is related to Astanga Yoga, particularly the 3rd stage, the exercises in Patanjali's system are designed not for physical health, but simply to facilitate meditation and self-realization. The yogi must be able to sit comfortably, neither straining nor falling asleep, and have complete control over the breath. Patanjali also encourages the yogi not to be allured by the mystic siddhis, perfections. So there's so many perfections, 8 main perfections, and many yogis might become attracted to those perfections. And Patanjali says, don't get attracted by that. Keep in mind the goal of self-realization. Based on Sankhya, purging oneself of base qualities, lust, greed, illusion, having complete control over the mind and senses, scripture study, surrender to the Lord, which bestows peace, illumination, and samadhi. So we only do one chapter today because this is a huge, huge chapter and lot of information in this chapter to try to understand. Any questions? Any comments?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Sure.
This is good. It's very nice the way you was reading it. When you say yoga, does this mean that when you said you do parayanam and it controls your even your sin, your mind,
Yeah.
and everything is done spiritually. So is this the same yoga which we do, or is this something different?
No, this is something a little different. The yoga
That's why I wanted to ask.
yeah. The yoga that's done now is more for just for the body. But actually, yoga is to connect with God. Yoga means to connect with God. And if God is not involved in the yoga exercise, the physical exercise and the pranayam, then it is just a physical thing. It's not yoga. That's just a physical exercise. But yoga means to actually connect with God. And this is what Sankhya Yoga is all about, and Patanjali Yoga is all about, to connect with God, not just to have this physical sitting down in a certain posture or doing the asanas. That's not yoga. That's not yoga, because that is more just like a physical exercise. Yoga is when you're actually getting closer to God by reducing your connections with this world.
It's very good. I mean,
Yeah.
doing normal yoga and doing the one spiritual yoga.
Yeah.
And when you're doing the spiritual yoga, you always think about the God, and your whole soul is connected with God.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is good to. It's really nice. It's very good to hear this subject. Thank you. As you was reading, I said I definitely ask this.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody wants to ask? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
And as you said, this is like a long chapter, so we still tomorrow carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is finished now. Next chapter. Now
Okay.
29. Yeah.
29. Okay.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
So if there's nothing else, we can stop there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.